One of the questions I always get asked is, what are some trends in technology? What are things that are happening? I always find this to be this is probably the question I dislike the most that I get asked on many different stops on this book tour, because you're sort of tempted to just give these very banal answers, like there'll be more people using cell phones in 5 years, which don't really tell you very much of one sort or another. But I think the general theme I would suggest is that all trends are overrated. And so if you think about current trends in technology, healthcare IT software, education software, overrated. SaaS enterprise software, really overrated. Big data, cloud computing, if you hear those words, you need to think fraud. You need to run away as fast as you possibly can. And the reason these buzzwords tell you that something is, these buzzwords, they're sort of like a tell in poker that people are bluffing, and that there's nothing, that the business is not undifferentiated, because the buzzwords tell you that it is one company of a category that's undifferentiated from the others in that category, and therefore are symptomatic somehow of a lot of competition and a bad business idea. And so, you don't want to be the 4th online pet food company. You don't want to be the 10th thin film solar panel company. You don't want to be the 1,000th restaurant in San Francisco. And so there is something about, if you can describe what a company is doing very straightforwardly by referencing these buzzwords, these categories that already exist, that's actually a sign that it's a pretty bad idea. And I think one of the challenges, conversely, that you have when you have a very successful business is to try to describe it. You often, it doesn't actually fit into any of the boxes precisely, and then that makes it very hard for people to understand what's going on. Sometimes you even have companies that are genuinely innovative, that do something very new, and they get mischaracterized as being one in a category that's doing something else. So for example, Google in the late 90s was categorized as just another search engine, and this was sort of one of the reasons people thought it was not that valuable, when probably the correct characterization would have been it was the first computer-powered search. All the others were sort of these human organized lists. It was qualitatively different, but it sort of got mischaracterized. Or Facebook in 2004 would have been characterized, probably still is characterized, as a social networking company, most straightforwardly. And of course, it was not the first. There had been a number of others that had done this before. One of my friends, Reid Hoffman, who started LinkedIn, started a company called SocialNet in 1997. So they already had the name social networking in the company 7 years before Facebook came along. They had sort of all these crazy ideas. You were going to have these avatars in cyberspace, and some people would be cats, and some people would be dogs, and there'd be sort of all these questions how they'd interact, and people weren't really all that interested in that. And it turned out that what actually mattered was not social networking among virtual cats and dogs or anything of that sort. It was real identity, and Facebook was the first company to crack the problem of real identity. That's not the way it got characterized, because we're always so biased to trying to put things in a pattern, in a category, and not to think about what's unique, what's original, what's different.